Good morning, YouTube, BookTube. This is Johnny. This is a Sunday in the Death Flow. It is Sunday, February the 7th, 2021. It is a Sunday morning. I said yesterday, I made a video yesterday that I would make a video on Sunday. It's not even been 24 hours, but it's the beginning of a new week, and I want to get down in the lower level, the used books that I found, my wife and I found at thrift stores. I said Monday I went to the doctor's. We went to the doctor's Thursday, and after I had a doctor's appointment at 8:30 in the morning, just looking at my blood work and my prescriptions and seeing how I was doing. And then my wife wanted to go to thrift stores to look at used books. As I said, my wife, since her retirement, has really gotten into used books. I should show you her room. My wife has taken over our daughter's old bedroom, and I'll show you her room. where she has her library, my wife. I made a video a while back of my wife's library, and she told me that she did not want me to post the video. That was a couple months ago. And she said that she would make her own video of her library. But I know she'll never get around to it. My wife's a very sociable, friendly woman, but she doesn't like to make videos. So I'll show you her room, just so you know what I'm talking about, since she's bought all these used books. I'll show you my wife's books. This is my wife's room, her books. So yeah, it's my wife. And this is her, where she's has her books. You can tell that my wife's pretty orderly. So yeah, and over here is my study, which you've all seen. This is where some of my books are. So you've seen that. So yeah, my wife has gotten into collecting used books, and so we go to thrift stores and she buys a lot of stuff, all kinds of stuff. So here are the used books I found Thursday with my wife. Now some of these I already had, but I don't remember all that I have. And I collect the writings of Joyce Carol Oates, and this is an old paperback of hers. You can tell she's really young there. This came out in 1973. This is her novel, Do With Me What You Will, the bold new novel of the winner of the National Book Award, Joyce Carol Oates. Now, when I cataloged this in my library thing, I already had it, but I like the old cover, so I'll keep it. And then we went to Hudsonville. They have a library in Hudsonville, and they sell, in their library, they sell used books. And I found this. This is a study of James Joyce's novel, Ulysses, a study by Stuart Gilbert. I already had this also in our library. I have a huge James Joyce collection, and I never know what I have, but I thought I had this. Well, I thought I didn't have it, but I did have it. And then I found this at the Hudsonville Library, Skirting Heresy, The Life and Times of Margery Kempe by Elizabeth MacDonald. Margery Kempe was she lived during like the Middle Ages, and she was like a mystic. This is kind of like a biography. This is Rites of Spring, The Great War and the Birth of the Modern Age by Modris, Eksteins. I also had this too. I found this at, I think, the Hudsonville Library, used book table. I like the cover. Mine has a different cover, but this is really a famous book. I highly recommend it. The Rites of Spring, The Great War and the Birth of the Modern Age by Modris, Eksteins. I already had this too, but I like this cover, so I'll keep it. I also had this book. I got this in Zealand at a thrift store. The Message of the Resurrection by Paul Beasley-Murray. I collect these. The Bible Speaks Today. I had a whole bunch of these, but I didn't know if I had this. It was only 50 cents. So I'll give this away. This I didn't have. This is we were in Hudsonville at a thrift store, and this is by Greg Hollingshead, Bedlam, a novel of love and madness. This is a historical novel that takes place in London, and it looked kind of interesting. Bedlam's 18th century London is a city teetering between darkness and light, struggling to find its way to a more just and humane future, but in its darkest corners where noblemen, pickpockets, royalists, republicans jostle one another for power, and where corruption is all in a day's work. Greg Hollingshead finds humanity, truth, and decency, and forgiveness. Global and Mail Best Book of 2004. I don't know, it looked kind of interesting. This I also had, but I wasn't sure. This is Left Illusions and an Intellectual Odyssey by David Horowitz. I already had this too. This I didn't have. This is Astoria. It's history. Astor and Jefferson's Last Pacific Empire by Peter Stark. A tale of ambition and survival on the early American frontier. Finalist for the PEN USA Literary Award. Astoria, Astor and Jefferson's Lost Pacific Empire by Peter Stark. This, I don't know why I bought this. This is horror fantasy short stories by Peter Straub. Interior Darkness Selected Stories. So it was just a small used book haul. I didn't really find much. My wife found a huge stack of stuff, but I really didn't want to go. I was kind of, after going to the doctor's office, I just wanted to go home. I was kind of stressed out. But my wife says, oh, we're out. The weather's fine. It's not snowing. It's not storming. So I went. So I can put those down on the lower level. So it's a new week. I don't know if we're supposed to have snow and bitter cold weather all week. So I'll probably stay home. This morning, I have been reading, mainly I've been reading The Life of Christ, The Life of Jesus Christ, Part 1, Volume 1, Chapters 1 through 40 by Rudolph of Saxony. And I've been reading Reformed Systematic Theology on Christology by Joel R. Beakey and Paul M. Smalley. This is for March Mammoth. Like I said, this is over 1,000 pages, and I got out to look at this morning on the life of Jesus. Jesus, according to the Scripture, restoring the portrait from the Gospels by Darrell L. Bach. And I also got out a book I've shown in the past, Christ Biography, Memory, History, and the Reliability of the Gospels by Craig S. Keener. So I got this. Keener has a new book coming out on First Peter commentary. I have his commentaries on John, Matthew, and the book of the Acts of the Apostles. And he has some other books. He's more of a historian kind of type, but he's kind of interesting. So that's it. Not much else to report. On my diary this morning, I'm on page 132 for the year 2021. I also been reading, Worshiping with the Reformers by Karen Meg, and I also got this new book in the mail, and the New Studies in Biblical Theology, The Servant of the Lord and His Servant People, Tracing a Biblical Theme Through the Canon by Matthew S. Harmon. Yeah, he looks at the theme of servant, and you have, for example, Adam, the first servant, Adam and Eve in the garden there in Genesis. Moses, the servant prophet. Joshua, the servant conqueror. David, the servant king. Isaiah, servant, the suffering servant. Jesus, the servant per excellence. The apostles, servants of Christ. The church, a servant people. So I got that. And like I said, I've been reading through the birth narratives of Matthew and Luke in my commentaries, and reading the life of Christ through these 2 volumes. As I said, I got volume 3 coming in the mail next month. So I hope you're all having a good weekend. Here we're snowbound, and yeah, today is the Super Bowl, and I don't know who's going to win. I suppose I don't really care. So, hope you have a good weekend, a new good week, a good reading week. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the new subscribers. And until next time, bye.